objectives. We're going to do one today. I'm going to do one a month. So between now and the end of the year, we'll be accomplished with all of them. Each one will be in a workshop. We're going to do a workshop on each one. So the first step is actually the hardest. It's called self-mastery. Where's the clicker? Here we go. So what do you think differentiates high achievers, those that do it, versus the ones that don't? What do you think? What do you think makes them so different?
Commitment. Discipline.
Commitment, discipline,
Action.
action,
Lack of action.
lack of action.
They write it down.
Hmm?
They write it down.
They write it down. Anything out there in Zoom land? They're managing their,
No time on task.
no, what is it?
No time on task.
Time on task? Or no time on
No
task?
time on task.
Meaning ones that don't, yeah. Okay, those are all great. So Gary Keller, did you know that he wrote a book?
A few.
A few, right.
He wrote-
When he went out interviewing top real estate agents and high achievers in other industries, he found there were three key things that made them different. Here they are. Mindset, approach to life, and attitude. So really, these three things are one thing. It's mindset. Because if you think about it, mindset is your today and your future. It really is. So I'm going to give you an example. If I'm telling myself I'm not worthy, I'm not worthy, I'm not good enough, do you think I can be a high achiever?
No.
Why not?
You don't
Because we
believe
don't
it.
believe it.
I think,
Yeah.
well, because my mindset is that of one of a not high achiever.
Negativity.
How many of us believe that life happens to us? I believe life happens for me. Here's what happened one day when I was with a friend. We were on a walk, and my friend said, "Oh, look, there's this huge line out of this restaurant." And I thought, okay, we were hungry, we were looking for a place to eat. Just like, there's this huge line. And I was like, oh my gosh, it must be a great restaurant. Why would all these people be waiting in line? So I looked at my phone, I looked at Yelp, and the reviews were amazing. And I said, okay, well, let's get in line. And she was like, no, it's too much time. I don't want to wait in line. And I was like, I understand, but what do you have? Do you have an appointment? It was a Sunday. Nothing was happening. I was like, so what's, if you have something, then okay, I understand, but there's nothing going on. Let's just wait in line and experience it. It must be amazing. All I was thinking about was the opportunity to eat at this great, fabulous restaurant that everyone was raving about. All she could see was the line. I realized our perspectives on life are completely different. I even said to her, I said, I look at the opportunity, you're hyper-focused on the challenge. What if you looked at the opportunity rather than the challenge? She goes, but the opportunity to eat there will give, it's too much time to sit and wait in that line. And I said, you're right. Do you have something pressing? Do you have something better to do with that time? We were going to do nothing.
Right.
But I could, but do you? I could do, but are you?
Right.
No. So let's wait in the line. After about 15 to 20 minutes of waiting in the line and her complaining about being in the line, I said, I submit. I looked at her and I said, I submit to the challenge. It's too much of a challenge for you. If I was alone, I would be waiting in this line. So we didn't eat that at that restaurant.
Oh.
Oh, she
Not-
won. She won.
I don't look at it as she won. I feel that we both lost.
That's her loss.
I think that I wasn't going to be able to change her mindset, because mindset is not something that I could change in you.
No.
Mindset is like, I want, could you lose weight for me? Could you?
No.
No. I can give you all the facts around losing weight, but in the end, I have to do it for myself. In the end, you're responsible for your mindset. You're responsible in the way you approach life. And you're responsible for your attitude. When I tell you mindset is your now and your future, I mean it. When I was a kid, I didn't know what I was going to do. I had a vision for myself. I knew I was going to be wearing a mini skirt suit and carrying a briefcase. That's all I knew. I knew that that was going to happen, and I knew no matter what was going to happen, and this is at 13, and at 14, and at 15 years old. That was my now, that back then, and my future. Look, I'm a business person.
Right.
What you think about today and where your mindset is at today is your future. And it has been. Go back, and I'll prove it to you. Mindset, when they say, it's so cliche, everything begins and ends with mindset, right? We could say it a million times. It means absolutely nothing unless you make it mean something. Your approach to life, your approach to humans and other souls, if you're the blamer and shamer in your life, are you the one that always blames and shames other people, are critical and judgmental of others? That's just because you hate you. That's your mindset speaking. We have some people in this office that myself and maybe a couple of others don't like talking to. Do you think that happens by accident? No, because they're wearing this approach to life that is horrible. And no matter what we say and how we lead them, it's difficult because they have not made the decision for themselves. I'm trusting that each one of you will have maybe taken consideration of a different mindset. Not a right or wrong, just different. So for right now, I'm going to ask you to remove all limiting beliefs. I want you to envision around this room, about a foot from the ceiling, there's a shelf. Do you see the shelf?
Yeah.
There's a shelf, a foot from the ceiling, that high. I want you to take all your beliefs and all the things that, everything that I'm going to say today, all the can'ts and should not and depends, and I want you to put it on that shelf. It's there for you to pick up when you leave if you decide to take it. But for right now, can you give me a promise you put it on that shelf?
Yes.
Yes.
Okay, perfect. So with that said, on the first page of your packet, right there, it says, step 1, commit to
Self-mastery.
self-mastery. I want you to write, right there, I want you to write, I am going to nail it and I'm going to master this. You're gonna master your mindset, and you're gonna master you. Because you're committed to it, right?
Yes.
Okay. Just gonna go through all these for these. All right. So I want to talk about this guy. Many of us in life do not get a second chance in life. Would you agree?
Yes.
Yes.
Yeah. He got a second chance. He got a second chance at life. What would you do if you got a second chance? Consider this to be your second chance. Let's watch and listen to him. He was on that flight that went into the Hudson River. Do you remember that?
Yeah.
Okay, so let's listen and learn what he learned.
Imagine a big explosion as you climb through the clouds. Imagine a plane full of smoke. Imagine an engine going clack, 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 clack. Sounds scary. Well, I had a unique seat that day. I was sitting in 1D. I was the only one who could talk to the flight attendants. So I looked at them right away, and they said, no problem. We probably hit some birds. The pilot had already turned the plane around, and we weren't that far. You could see Manhattan. 2 minutes later, 3 things happened at the same time. The pilot lines up the plane with the Hudson River. It's usually not the route. He turns off the engines. Now imagine being on a plane with no sound. And then he says 3 words, as unemotional 3 words that I've ever heard. He says, brace for impact. I didn't have to talk to the flight attendant anymore. I could see in her eyes, it was terror. Life was over. Now I want to share with you 3 things I learned about myself that day. I learned that it all changes in an instant. We have this bucket list, we have these things we want to do in life. And I thought about all the people I wanted to reach out that I didn't. All the fences I wanted to mend. All the experiences I wanted to have and I never did. As I thought about that, later on I came up with a saying, which is, I collect bad wines. Because if the wine is ready and the person is there, I'm opening it. I no longer want to postpone anything in life. And that urgency, that purpose has really changed my life. The second thing I learned that day, and this is as we clear the George Washington Bridge, which was by not a lot. I thought about, wow, I really feel one real regret. I've lived a good life. In my own humanity and mistakes, I've tried to get better at everything I've tried. But in my humanity, I also allow my ego to get in. And I regretted the time I wasted in things that did not matter with people that mattered. And I thought about my relationship with my wife, with my friends, with people. And after, as I reflected on that, I decided to eliminate negative energy from my life. Not perfect, it's a lot better. I've not had a fight with my wife in 2 years, it feels great. I'm no longer trying to be right. I choose to be happy. The third thing I learned, and this is as your mental clock starts going 15, 14, 13, you can see the water coming, I'm saying, please blow up. Right? I don't want this thing to break in 20 pieces like you've seen in those documentaries. And as we're coming down, I had a sense of, wow, dying is not scary. It's almost like we've been preparing for it our whole lives. But it was very sad. I didn't want to go. I love my life. And that sadness really framed in one thought, which is, I only wish for one thing. I only wish I could see my kids grow up. About a month later, I was in a performance by my daughter, first grader, not much artistic talent. Yeah. And I'm bawling, I'm crying like a little kid. And it made all the sense in the world to me. I realized at that point, by connecting those 2 dots, the only thing that matters in my life is me. Above all, the only goal I have in life is to be a good dad. I was given the gift of a miracle of not dying that day. I was given another gift, which was to be able to see into the future and come back and live differently. I challenge you guys that are flying today. Imagine the same thing happens on your plane, and please don't. But imagine, and how would you change? What would you get done that you're waiting to get done because you think you'll be here forever? How would you change your relationships and the negative energy in them? And more than anything, are you being the best parent you can be? Thank you.
He was given an opportunity for a second chance, right? What if you were given that opportunity? What would you do if someone gave you that gift, the gift of a second chance? You know that you're able to do that for yourselves, right? You're able to give the gift of a second chance to yourself at any given time. So why not now? Why not right now? Would you live differently? Would you do something differently? Would your goals look a little different? Your life goals. Moving, not what could have been, moving from right now forward. In your packet on the second page, write down 3 things you would like to accomplish in your life. It could be business or not. Whatever you want. Something you haven't reached yet that you want to reach. Okay, are we done? Need a little more time? Everyone good? Feedback is the breakfast of champions. Zoomers and I need some feedback. Okay, so now that you've written down the 3 things you want to accomplish, I want you to read them again. One of those spoke louder to you than the other 2. The one that spoke the loudest to you, circle that number. So if it's number 2, you'll circle 2. If it's number 3, circle 3. If it's number 1, circle 1. Oops. Okay. That one is the one we're going to use in order to do a reality check against, okay? So that's the one that we're going to work on today. So what we know is that high achievers have a reality check. They're not just dreamers. They have a reality check. So you need to do a reality check around your dream, your goal. So I want you to take a look at the following page that's in front of you, where it says powerful perspectives. See, without the reality check, you can live in a delusion, because that's what we do to ourselves, just human beings. We'll become delusional about our goal and think that we're getting closer to it when we're really not. We're gonna identify all these things. So, in the reality check, you'll see 4 bubbles. You see those 4 bubbles there? And it asks you, what is your goal? How are you doing with your goal? How do you feel? No one's going to read this piece of paper, by the way. So the goal that you're gonna write in there is the one that you circled on the previous page. So go ahead and write that goal in your first circle. Okay, now you can go ahead and start thinking and feeling and answering those other questions. Take your time. You got to put in the work in you in order to get something out of you, right? So want to put the work in. On the bottom of that page, you'll see where it says, nothing changes until you do. Circle that, put a star. Would you agree?
Yeah.
Nothing changes until you change, right? I can't lose weight until I change my habits, right? And my mindset around those habits, right? So, of course, something has to change within you, or else nothing changes. So, let's commit to self-mastery. It's a journey, so it's not an event, right? It's gonna take a little bit, because we cannot be microwaved. We can only be crock-pot, which means it's gonna take us a little bit of time to get there. But it starts with step number 1, right? So, in order to have self-mastery, you can have knowledge, you can have skills. But I think the most important part is the habits, because the habits prove and show, right? Because I don't need to hear what you say. I can just watch your actions and know what you believe and don't believe. That shows me commitment. And it shows you commitment. And that's how the proof is in the pudding. That means that when you have the habits of mastering you, then you will. Right? Well, what are the things that you have to do? Well, first you got to know where you're going. Right? We're going to go from here to New York without a map. We'll get there eventually. Eventually. if a car doesn't run us over or something doesn't happen, or, but eventually we'll get there. What would happen if you actually knew you wanted to go to New York? You're gonna be a lot more purposeful, aren't you? Right? You're gonna be purposeful. You're gonna create habits around getting to New York. Oh, I gotta wake up in the morning, drive 8 hours, this is what I'm gonna do, these are gonna be my stops. All of a sudden, you're planning. Then you gotta know your strengths and weaknesses. Can I drive 8 hours, or is that too much for me? 6 hours is much more doable than 8. Here are the amount of stops that I'm going to need, and here are my strengths. My strengths is when I'm on 6 hours on the road, I'm awake and alert. I know how to drive. Do I know my weaknesses? What would be my weakness?
I'll leave it for tomorrow.
Exceeding
Procrastinator?
yourself to the 8 hours if you know you're not going to be able to make it.
Right, or maybe I'm deaf in one ear,
Right.
right? So that means what would I do if I was deaf in one ear? I mean, I can't hear sirens or whatever as clearly as someone else. What would I do if that was the case?
Put an earpiece.
Put an earpiece. See how easy the solutions are? So you go, okay, I can do that. No problem. Okay. So, and you have to know how to work with both your strengths and weaknesses. What's amazing is sometimes people are delusional about their strengths and their weaknesses. I'm always amazed when I ask people, give me your 3 strengths. Well, I'm da 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 da. Can I have 3 weaknesses? By the way, I can give you typed out 2 pages of weaknesses for myself because I only do 2 or 3 things on point. Really 1. Really just 1. The other 2 are just good. They're not great. 1 is great, 2 are good, and everything else is mediocre. So when you don't have a self-awareness around that for yourself, that's a problem, that's delusional. When you go, oh, I'm great at 10 things, I'm like, probably not. So have an understanding of your strengths and weaknesses. So how would you do that? A great question to ask others. Others that will tell you the truth. If I ask my best friend, maybe that best friend is not the one to ask because that best friend doesn't want to hurt your feelings. Maybe if you ask maybe your best friend is the type that could be super honest with you. Then she would be, or he would be the right person. But make sure you choose the people that give you the truth.
The real answers.
The real answers, right. Because you gotta have some awareness around what your strengths and weaknesses are. By the way, we have 2 whole assessments to tell you what your strengths and weaknesses are. So if you are not sure, or you want to verify and confirm what you already believe, or debunk what you believe, we have 2 assessments. One's called the KPA and the other one's called the DISC. I highly recommend the KPA.
I haven't heard that one.
The KPA, you can come to me and we'll give you the assessment if you're interested, and it will tell you what your strengths and weaknesses are, and then you have to verify it. Meaning that even though it's just words on a paper, until you say, yes, that's true, it's not verified, right? It's not verified. So there's a book called The Outliers. I'm recommending that all of you put this on your read list, The Outliers. Highly recommend this book. Okay, so on the page that has the puzzle pieces, do you see that page in your packet? So here's somebody's, it's a very simple goal, right? In my opinion, simple. They want to say, I want to prosper, I want to master prospecting. This is an area in my life that I need to master. I want to master prospecting. This is just an example. So the strength of this person is that they're good with people. The weakness of this person is they're uncomfortable bringing up business to anyone. How many of us are like that? Many. This is not off the charts weird. This is pretty normal. So in order to, you gotta put the pieces together for your life, right? Like what is your goal? What are your strengths towards that goal? And what are your weaknesses towards that goal? So you can see on the bottom of the page, you have a plan. Do you see the plan for that person? It says the plan is for, to take bold and call the sphere of influence. You see that? Well, we have to create one for you, don't we? Here's what I know. I know it takes a village to raise a child. Did you know that?
Yeah.
It also takes a village to raise us. And without other people and partnering up and getting information from others to help you create that plan, you'll remain delusional. So today, I'd like you to partner up and come up with the obstacles that you may have in your goal, right? I have this goal. What are the obstacles that are going to come up? Let's go there. Let's get them out right here, right now. What are all those obstacles? You'll see a page in there that talks about your obstacles. You see them? And then you'll see the following pages on how to overcome those obstacles and what your strengths and all of that. We're going to partner up, and your partner's going to help you, because this is what we do. So each one of you, please, first row, turn around. Take your papers and turn around. Just turn around. Okay?
There, I guess all three of us are there.
George, can I ask you to sit here? That's your partner. George is your partner. Okay. Can I ask you? Alexis? Together.
There you go.
And Robbie ran away?
When you got in the group for
I was gonna read his part.
Run away, but I said running.
Now,
Only one of us can do it.
Zoom.
There's 14 people total.
So 14 people total on Zoom. I wish you guys were in here because it is a workshop, but here's the way to do it. Either you can share each other's cell phone numbers or direct message. You have the option of a drop-down menu in your chat box where it says to. Direct message to each one of your partners. So I'm going to tell you who the partners are.
Like I,
Give me the list and I will give the
I want
people.
my next house.
Okay.
I'll travel a lot,
So
but I still have to finish my book.
Janet and Christian, your partners.
What are your?
Philemon and Harry, you are partners.
I'm sorry?
Hillary and Howard, you are partners. iPhone 13, please identify yourself.
Well, my list don't sound that big now.
Liliana
What's your PhD?
and Queenie.
And leadership.
Ramsey and Sandra. Sylvia and Tamara. All right, everyone got their partners? Anyone on Zoom? Not clear. Please write
My
it down.
wedding. My wedding. I'm hoping it's gonna be next July. I already got my dress, but I'm trying to go find my baby.
Put your videos on so
I would
we can
rather
see
do
you.
Vegas, but at like a nice venue because I have a lot of family coming from other countries. It would just be easier, a lot of everybody can fly there and have a hotel room there. You know what I mean?
Do we start?
Can you please start? Please
I
begin,
know, I bought the
sorry.
dress and I was like, okay, let's figure out the rest.
My lights are going in and out.
Right.
My lights are going in and out.
Right.
Oh, it's Queenie.
Wrote down our
Yeah, but
goals.
actually, they have
Just
control.
three obstacles that you might hinder your success.
Chat with other people.
No.
Probably a lot of
Not
chat.
always the most.
So I put my wedding and I said, how am I doing on it? It's going slowly.
Okay, so this is done till you.
And then I put the next house because that's what I really, I should be
That's
focused.
the little, so about one.
Yeah, but then when we started going through it, I was like,
Sometimes we.
my wedding's like a fun thing, but I mean, I've been lagging on that for like 17 years now.
Right, like sometimes we know there's something stopping us, we know exactly why.
So the fact that I bought the dress was.
So what do you? We don't wanna disappoint ourselves.
Well, I haven't started yet. I moved to the house and I haven't talked to Holly about it. She told me what I need to do to get to buy my next house. And now the interest rates are going crazy. I just need to do it faster. You know, I need to do it faster. And it's interest. The interest rates.
Okay, but how do you feel about anything, like what?
I mean, I feel like I haven't started because I haven't opened the keys, like I haven't taken myself to the lead house. You know what I mean? I started looking at my finances, I started making,
That's what,
everything that I need to get me where I need to get to my next house. Because this part of the wedding, I told him, I'm like, I can't go to the house with me. That's my name's on it, so I don't want to name my house. Do you know what I mean? Because I have 4 houses now and only one of them I own. Forget about it. Only one of them I own.
Which is like, yeah,
It's all my
what next
house,
house?
you know what I mean? It's not my name, but I'm not married to her.
you know,
That's right.
you just need to say what needs to happen.
I said,
In order to
like, process it will have to take
what needs to happen.
And then what will your future look like?
Rephrase
I'm
that.
fussy about it. I mean, I'm frustrated, I'm fussy. You look like you're frustrated with it too, already.
I just need to get this done, how do I get it out? That's it. Let me get it done.
Yeah, because they'll have them.
Exactly, yeah. Sometimes I look at my, what present to understand. Why? Even if you're experienced for 3 years, or you just started.
Last but not least, my commitment level for it has to be 1. How are you doing?
Okay, because when you're like, that's my style. I was like,
I feel like I'm so big.
I never seen a little kid.
Oh, I think it happened, but then.
Yeah, okay, so that's what you've never seen.
You guys are supposed to have this.
What we can talk about how
We'll talk about everything and give us step by step of what you
it's
do.
not, I don't know if it's not.
Why do you do it?
You know, that's why I had to put number 1, because I was just not seeing number 1 without
What do
it.
you think?
And then after that,
Absolutely.
And
Yes.
then there are a lot of,
Parents'
you like whatever.
and then go to the next meeting.
That's where you're gonna feel like, you know?
I feel like that guy just helped me out anything. That's what I feel like. The truth is, I feel like that after 17 years, I feel like he can be like, we already been together for 9 years. We don't need to make this happen tomorrow. And I feel like I can be very persuaded.
So, that is something that sometimes
In other words,
I would have people come over.
not being
Yeah, you know, like working with whatever you have, and then they start bringing all that, and then you're like, oh, yeah. One baseline here, you step out. So we just say that you
obstacle number 2.
have a master that, so that way you can try there, and then I let it talk out, everybody else that's talking.
These are list 3 obstacles that you might make. scheduling.
But I realized that
And I have trouble thinking.
even though I like the
What's
person,
that called?
that's right, I would stand home.
With forehead stuff on it, my partner, and then because I'm there, I will like not having it in my house, so I gotta block it out as much as possible. Yeah, black out. That's fine.
I didn't, but I need to stay away from.
Yeah.
It's hard though, when you're dealing with
I see that before.
I'm having
and
trouble.
You might have something you might slow down. So
you're bound
you guys
to
also
like
too.
get a little
Right,
bit
obstacle number 3 for me is gonna be
right? Because you want to
my
understand how.
nutrition.
I think property
So,
managers
I don't know.
Yeah.
and I think depending on. I do usually take a picture from 1,000 to 2,000. Coming over here and jumping ship. There's,
I wouldn't call it plan, but even 2,000 is
there's no property management on your side.
Things that would stop.
You get distracted training.
Guys, better.
You get start your own.
That's gonna be, I think, one of my biggest obstacles, because I can, I need to pass by.
Oh, we haven't done that one yet, that's true.
Because yeah.
No, we just one a month, right?
So,
Once a like, once a
let me
Enough for you to feel like you can
All right, I
relax.
have
I'm just trying
to
that
about
Remove the
I'll be on.
E2P. That's a good one.
8 hours a day.
Entrepreneurship to
You have nothing else, right? Have you done it? You know, right? Why? Because it's all here, right? So if your mind is
What's your number one age?
and you would understand, you would be committed to doing that on a daily basis. Especially so that
Share is caring, sharing is.
because so many things that
Right? Creating it from my real
Say that mother. Say that.
What do you mean by e-commerce? And that's the, that was the second question, have you done anything?
No, but I'm asking you what you mean by e-commerce.
E-commerce is, so
Just doing, oh, just selling it. So they're not really real estate online, they're selling other things online?
what you're looking at, so creating a business online out of
So it's online.
no,
Different, they're selling.
mindset of her, like, oh, take it. So if you're
That means you created your plan.
that's
I don't,
See how that worked out my
no, not tonight, let's go today.
I was so disappointed last night.
Some days when I work down, it's
That's
not
just your
working.
mind.
And nobody's gonna tell me that.
We're done.
In my opinion, I think
I'm stubborn.
We're too messy.
how, give a little bit more detail.
For my goals,
Yeah.
I am a good planner and I can do my goals. If I have a plan, I can do that.
Yeah.
You should be wrapping it up in the next 3 minutes.
Yeah.
Zoomers, I'm excited to see what you guys have to say in the chat box, please. Write it in there.
I feel like you enjoy it, like the same way
It's going two-way street, right? Not just one way.
Yeah.
the goals might be.
What do you think?
You enjoy it. So you're just going to enjoy it, maybe that's the goal.
Because for the, I think for all of them,
And then-
right? For the first
No,
one.
for the
I mean,
first
you
one.
could easily not be doing it, right? You could easily move it with your kids or do something or like, so you choose to not do that.
So.
Yeah, but I need to go.
Look at you guys, the straight A students.
My first and second grade non-teachers would see me.
So that way you're not confused, like,
Oh my God, those women.
oh, I go, you know what I mean?
Resources.
It's
Another thing
challenging.
you do. Yeah. That was scary. You're holding on.
All right, guys, we're wrapping it
I'll be
up.
able to read that one.
Even if you're not done, you can do this after the class with your partner, if your partner agrees to do so. So what would happen if each one of your goals, you went through this exact same process? What do you think at the end, what happened at the end there? What did you get? What did you get? Clarity, a plan,
More focus.
more focus, knowing your purposefulness, awareness.
If you don't have
So
plans, it's not
now
gonna
each
happen.
one of your goals, this is what you do. If you do that over time and you keep doing it and keep doing it 10,000 times. No joke.
She's like, you'll know.
You'll
exactly what
become-
you want.
Yeah.
A master of self.
Yeah. Of your trade.
Wow! All it takes is purposefulness.
Right,
KPE.
decisions.
It's not hard, it's that we don't invest in ourselves. And if you invest in yourself to do that on every single goal, do it with someone. Because you have blind spots. Can you see your teeth if you're not looking in the mirror?
If I take them out.
Most can't.
Just kidding. I don't have
Most
papers.
can't, but most people
That's
can't.
funny.
Most people can't, but if I'm your friend, I'll tell you there's food in your teeth.
Yeah.
Most people, what will they do?
Don't tell
Never
them.
tell you.
Yeah, and they'll laugh.
All right? Never tell you. So here's the thing, when you're goal setting, go through this process, each and every goal, go through this process, create a plan. And once you've created the plan, do you know what will happen?
You'll know what you need to do.
This becomes a lot easier to do. This is called a GPS. Anyone heard, can you take some, pass it down, pick one? Okay, so, here, can I have
Is that how
one?
you,
So that I can fly it.
Your GPS, by the way, where do you find this GPS form?
Oh, is this my
Three-
one?
It's called the 135. By the way, the reason it's called a 135 or GPS, together, what does it mean to you? GPS.
Location. Where you going?
Location, where you're going. But it actually stands for goals. You see there it says goal, the number one thing is the goal.
priority?
And then 3 what? Priorities. And 5 strategies. GPS. That's where it comes from. Okay? So then you create your GPS based on, because now you have the actions, right? See how that works? You can find this on KW Connect. And you can get that form, and it'll house it for you. The office has a GPS. The leadership team has a GPS.
Garrett made me fill this out.
Garrett
already.
has a
I was like, I think Garrett made me fill this out already. I think it's on my laptop.
Right. This time, I want you to go through the process of what we did today for each one of those goals and your priorities.
It literally says my GPS plan right on the front of it.
Right.
There you go.
There it is, yes. So I'd like, you guys can turn around now. So I'd like to share a video with you about commitment, because I think that the obstacle that most people face is the commitment to do the things that they need to do in order to better themselves. But typically, we're able to commit to something short-term. Would you agree? If I told you can commit to one day, you'll say, sure, I can commit to one day of doing this. If I asked you, can you commit 2 days? What would your answer be? Yes. Yeah. A week? Yes. How about 3?
It's like going to the gym.
How about a month? How about 30 days? Can you commit? I'm believing that most people can commit to something for 30 days.
That can
After
be
the
a habit.
30-day mark, they're like, it's a habit.
Yeah.
So a habit is only a habit when it becomes a habit. There's no timeline on it. Even though there's books that say 60 days, 90 days, here's what I have found, that a habit will become a habit when it's ingrained in you and you no longer have to think about it.
Right.
You brush your teeth, you do your thing that you do every day because you're on autopilot. When you're on autopilot on these things, that's when it becomes a habit. So I don't think it takes a number of days. I think it just is when it is. And for each person, I don't know what that is, but it is for that person. Make sense?
Yes.
Okay? So I'd like to share with you about a guy who committed to something for 30 days. Because I'm not going to ask you, how long do you think that self-mastery takes?
It's lifetime.
It's different.
It's
for
a
everybody.
lifetime. It's until you die, because if you're not growing, you're mentally deteriorating. So we want you to continue to grow, but I don't want to tell you it's a lifetime of a commitment. I just want you to commit for 30 days. Can you do that? For you? Not for me, for you. Here's a guy who committed just to all kinds of things for 30 days.
A few years ago, I felt like I was stuck in a rut. So I decided to follow in the footsteps of the great American philosopher, Morgan Spurlock, and try something new for 30 days. The idea is actually pretty simple. Think about something you've always wanted to add to your life and try it for the next 30 days. It turns out 30 days is just about the right amount of time to add a new habit or subtract a habit, like watching the news, from your life. There's a few things that I learned while doing these 30-day challenges. The first was, instead of the months flying by forgotten, the time was much more memorable. This was part of a challenge I did to take a picture every day for a month, and I remember exactly where I was and what I was doing that day. I also noticed that as I started to do more and harder 30-day challenges, my self-confidence grew. I went from desk-dwelling computer nerd to the kind of guy who bikes to work for fun. Even last year, I ended up hiking up Mount Kilimanjaro, the highest mountain in Africa. I would never have been that adventurous before I started my 30-day challenges. I also figured out that if you really want something badly enough, you can do anything for 30 days. Have you ever wanted to write a novel? Every November, tens of thousands of people try to write their own 50,000-word novel from scratch in 30 days. It turns out, all you have to do is write 1,667 words a day for a month. So I did. By the way, the secret is not to go to sleep until you've written your words for the day. You might be sleep deprived, but you'll finish your novel. Now, is my book the next great American novel? No, I wrote it in a month. It's awful. But for the rest of my life, if I meet John Hodgman at a TED party, I don't have to say, I'm a computer scientist, No, if I want to, I can say, I'm a novelist. So here's one last thing I'd like to mention. I learned that when I made small, sustainable changes, things I could keep doing, they were more likely to stick. There's nothing wrong with big, crazy challenges. In fact, they're a ton of fun, but they're less likely to stick. When I gave up sugar for 30 days, day 31 looked like this. So here's my question to you. What are you waiting for? I guarantee you the next 30 days are going to pass whether you like it or not. So why not think about something you have always wanted to try and give it a shot for the next 30 days? Thanks.
So what I'm asking you to ask yourself is can you commit for 30 days to doing this? And at the 31st day, if it goes okay, commit to the next 30 days. And if day 61, if everything's okay, then go ahead and commit to the next 30 days. And soon before you know it, it's just part of who you are. Over time. Just keep recommitting for 30 days and just say the end of your don't, but you have to be able to have enough integrity. Here's the key. Because we all lack at a very high level integrity. We all lack it badly. Because you know that because you tell yourself you're going to do things you don't do. So you need to have the integrity to say 30 days means 30 days. So no, you can't on the 24th day go, okay, I'm out. You only can make that decision on the 31st day. On the 31st day, you need to make a decision. Am I in or am I out? If you decide you're out, you're out. If you decide you're in for the next 30 days. Good?
Yes.
Any ahas? Zoomers?
The simplicity behind it.
It's so quiet.
Simplicity?
Yeah. It's just observing it, writing it down, following it. You know, it's not. Really think about it. It's not rocket science.
Yes,
No.
because
Right.
when we write our goal, it seems difficult to accomplish.
Right.
Once you do the steps, you discover it's not really difficult if you commit to it, and if you follow the plan, you can do it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Any other ahas?
I always do 30 days challenges.
I always do.
30 days challenges.
I do it with my life coach too, but it's usually like we have to call like a group person, or we always have to check in for the 30 days with each other. But it's usually like a 30-day game. It's usually like we have to do 5 minutes on the phone with like either self-talk as I can, or different things like that for 30 days. But it's all 30-day games.
So here's the thing, those challenges are great. And in the end, you need to be just responsible for you. So you have to have enough integrity with yourself to just be that human for yourself. So it's not rocket science. And if you put every single goal and go through that process, what's your strength, what's your weaknesses, what's the plan, how are you going to come across that, and do it with somebody, because you can't see your blind spots.
Right.
Right? Do it with someone and commit to it for 30 days. And then recommit or not on the 31st day. That's your only chance, is on the 31st day. And that's the rule. If you have more people engaged in that, great. And they might fall off. Does that mean you should too?
No.
If my friend jumped off the Brooklyn Bridge, should I jump off the Brooklyn Bridge?
No way.
My mom used to tell me that all the time. Who cares? If she jumps off the bridge, you're gonna jump off the bridge? Remember, it takes a village? It takes a village for you too. Yes.
Last night I was sharing with my 93-year-old aunt why I was reading this book feverishly and not paying attention to the program we were watching. She says, ¿Por qué? ¿Por qué estás leyendo este libro? And I said, because I want to do this. And then she looked at me, and she's usually a naysayer. And she says, you know what? I believe so strongly you're going to do really well. I'm so glad you're doing the change.
You're doing the change.
And I looked at her and I was like really surprised. And I said, thank you. She says, no, I really mean it. I have faith that you're going to do it. Oh, that meant so much to me.
That's beautiful. You know, my favorite part was doing, what you said was doing the change. Because change is about doing.
Right.
It's not just about a change. First, it begins in the change of mind and mindset. But in the end, the only way we know that you learn something is by doing it.
Yeah.
And by applying it. And when you don't apply it, you haven't learned anything.
Right.
So I want to thank you for your time today. Each month there'll be a workshop on all six. The next one is the 80-20 principle, and there'll be I'll do a workshop on the 80-20 principle. So you're welcome to come back. I want to thank you for giving me the gift of your time, and I would love if you would just honor you. Thank you. Bye-bye.
Thank you for your time.
Thank you.
She's punctual.
Yes. Okay, yeah, from the last time.